Okay, we're in the Polytunnel today, and I've got my microphone on. There's nothing irritates me more than trying to watch a video when the sound's dreadful. My sound on my video is probably a bit too loud, but at least you can turn it down. But if there's no volume left, you know, nothing you can, and you can't hear. Anyway, right, so I've been studying how to grow strawberries in a polytunnel this week. Well, I tried this, as you probably know, last year we tried to grow them in some guttering, but the guttering wasn't deep enough. It was only ordinary standard spouting, and I think I got the strawberries too close together and we hadn't got enough of, and consequently they got diseased because they need space and they need air, fresh air. So this year we're going to combat that. Now, I've been studying it. There's lots of different ways to do it, and the one I like best is hanging baskets. So in here I can hang them up, and I can get at them at my shoulder height and pick the strawberries off, and they're not too difficult to water at that height either. So, but hanging baskets, my goodness, I was looking up, they're about anything from 6 to 8 to 10 pounds a piece. So that's no good, because we're going to need about 10. They reckon that strawberries want to be about 3 inches apart. Yeah, probably a bit more. Give them some space to grow. And our strawberries this year are from last year's runners, and they're still here in the polytunnel. They've overwintered in here, so I'll just show you them. Right, here we are. Look, here's some of them, and some have got strawberries on. Look, would you believe? One or two have gone off, but they look quite healthy. But they want planting out now. Oh, there's 12, 24, 36, and there's a lot more over there, look. So I've probably got about 70 or 80. So to do that, 70 or 80, and 3 inches apart, if they're in a 12-inch basket, they want to be 4 in a basket. Oh dear, that's oodles, isn't it? And the cost's going to be enormous. So the whole idea of what we do here is low cost or no cost. The tunnel, as you look in last year's videos, the tunnel cost next to nothing really. Fortunately, we live in an area where these things are everywhere, so the plastic is quite reasonable price. And I bought the metal off my neighbour. I think it cost 20. About 20 euros a throw. 1, 2, there's 4 of them. Yeah, about 20 euros a throw, second hand. They come bent like that, so, and then you just buy the plastic to fit. And I made the doors and whatever. So this is going to be homemade baskets, and I've decided to use grillage, which is like the type of plastic coated fencing that you put around your garden, and it comes in different dimensions. And my idea is to build things like these planters. There's a planter here with some geraniums in, look, overwintering in here. So we're going to build something like these, which can hang, not quite as deep as that though, because they're too deep, and can hang on a system from the ceiling here, from the roof, and keep out the way so I can work underneath them, and put the strawberries in those. And we're going to make it out of the grillage and then clip it together. If you watch the video about the rabbit farm, then John Brooks and I made all the rabbit cages. We made them, didn't buy any. We made them all ourselves to a design. We bought the design. And so we've got the experience, I've got the experience of doing that. It's quite simple. So we're going to make a template today and then turn it into a finished metal job. Okay, next stage. I've measured this planter, which would make an ideal sort of design, but it's too deep for the strawberries. Need wasting too much stuff in the bottom. So we've worked out that an ideal size would be 50 centimetres long. We work in centimetres. And 10 centimetres high and 10 centimetres wide. So 50 by 10 by 10. So I've got a bit of cardboard from a package that came on Amazon and measured out. It's actually 70 long because of the two ends, and it's 10 high at each side and it's 10 wide. So we'll see how it looks. I've got some gaffer tape here to stick it together. There we are. Okay, so we've got two sides, two ends, and the bottom end. And the other side. Two ends, and the bottom end. It's not a precise art, but there we are. I think that would make a good planter and not too heavy to hang up. So you could hang it up. Remember, it's made of wire. Hang it up and hang it up so about this height. So I can still work underneath it, and the strawberries will come out at a decent height, and it's not too high to water them. So that's my template. So it's 50 by 50 by 10 by 10, and to do that I need a piece of metal 70 by 30. So to do that, I've got 50 by 10 by 10. So to actually make this, I need a piece of metal. That was 70 by 30 wide. So you need a piece of wire 70 by 30. Now I'm now going to look for the wire. I've got plenty of the wire fencing, provided it's not going to be too, the gap isn't too wide, because in the wire goes some old bags that you get your compost in, some old compost bags, lining it, and with some holes in for the drainage, and then so this compost bags are easy going. That cut them up, put one side of one compost bag will fill several of those, and it's not too deep. Look, you see, to put there's a bit of depth for the roots to go into, and you've got the height to not too high, so the strawberries will grow over. My idea is to put them fairly close to the side, so the strawberries will be growing at the ends and the front and not coming out the back. So I'm off now to try and find some wire, and I've got a gadget to show you that actually clips the wire together. It's something I used when I made the rabbit cages. Okay, I found some wire fencing wire. Doesn't look too big. It doesn't look a lot bigger than it's 10 centimeters. The gaps are 10 centimeters by 8. That's about the smallest I've got. The others are a bit bigger. So I'm going to make one out of this and see how we go. See whether the gaps aren't too big. I mean, if it is, it's no problem to put 2 fertilizer sacks in there to line them. If the gap is too wide and they're tending to sag through. So bear with me. Here's the gadget. Bought this quite a long time ago. When we put the fence around the garden here is 80 yards long and 40 yards wide. Yeah, 80 metres by 40 roughly. And to keep the dogs in, stop them escaping, we put this kind of wire all around the garden. Took quite a lot of doing, but at the time there was no hedges, there was no shrubs. There was just hedges down the northern side and a little bit down the side to the east. But apart from that, nothing. Everything else is what we've put in. So it was fairly easy to put up. I bought some acacia fencing stakes from Thierry at Lignée de Touraine, our wine producer friend. He got them from his cooperative because acacia doesn't rot in the ground. 2003 I put them in. It's now 2025. 2004 perhaps. Yeah, 2003 because that's when we bought the house. we'll put it in stages because we're coming here sort of every 2 months to rest our brains and do some jobs around. So the fencing stakes went in and the fence went up, and to join the fence together I use these things, which is a quite incredible thing. It's like a stapler, but it's, oh, here we are, here's the things you can see. I found them in my workshop. Look, it says on it fencing tool. It was all filed away. Probably going to need some more of these, but this is how you buy them. And all it does is curl them round so it holds the wire in place. And it's a lot easier than trying to fiddle around with cutting a bit of wire and putting it around yourself. Excellent tool this is. In fact, Mike, my neighbour, bought, when he put a fence around his garden, he borrowed this. And he had it for about 6 months. Anyway, it's come back all right. You just load it up, put the, pull this back, like that. Put your staples in there, in there, and then you pull this back and slot it in again, and the spring holds them in place. So now I'm going to go away and cut some of this wire. It's no, it's boring. Cut the wire to shape, and then we'll assemble one and see how I get on. I'll get it partly assembled and then come back to you. First go at cutting out isn't quite what we expected, because of the dimensions of the wire fencing. So I'll show you how this thing works. We'll clip this together. We've got to join, we've pulled that up there, that's the edge, we'll pull that up to that. Clip him on. Clipped on, you see. This one. Get both sides in it. Clip him on. That's 2 done. And this side, clipped him on, and here well, that's even better because we've got a bit of the top there. Look, do you see? Now we've got it a bit wider than we expected. I think we could go narrower. We could go to, so that is in fact $60 long and 15 wide and 9 deep. 9 deep's fine. And I think, in fact, that if you put a old fertiliser sack in there, that will hold whatever's in there. I think we could go half as wide. I'm going to try one half as wide and see what it looks like. Because this is wasted really, because we could have the strawberries out this side. I don't want it down the middle, because the middle of here we're going to have some more tomatoes. Yeah, I do like tomatoes. I've got the tomatoes sown. It was full moon yesterday, and of course you're supposed to plant your seeds before the moon gets full, when the moon is ascending, because then they grow with the moon, you see. That's what they all say. Anyway, I did get them in a few days ago, so they should have had a few days of the moon, but they're in, and there's a propagator down there with 2 lots of tomato seeds in, and in the greenhouse, the old greenhouse which I built when we first came here, there's a heated sand tray in there for propagating. Not working quite so well as it used to, but it's got 2 propagators in with some more tomatoes. Right, well, that's not bad. First effort. But it's this one, I think that's better. It's a bit narrower, but it's going to be a lot narrower if we just use one section. So to get one section, this was 50, which was 70 long by 10 by 10, but because the dimensions are different. So I'll work out what to do, and we'll make a narrower one and see what that looks like. Back in a minute. I've got some wire cut roughly to what I need. One high, one wide, one high this side. So I'm just going to bend it into shape. I haven't measured the length of this. This is just an offcut. It's what's left over from what I cut just now from the first one. So let's see how it comes out. Don't forget, this is stuff we've already got in stock. It's fencing that we've been using and aren't using at the moment. It's been somewhere in the garden, taken it down for whatever reason, and it's surplus at the moment. It's hanging around doing nothing. So we're going to bend that up. So I'll cut that there and there. I've got a tray with the offcuts of wire. I don't want them hanging around everywhere. There and there. Likewise here. Wire cutters. These cheap from Aldi, you know. I leave them hanging about, you know. I use these a lot for all kinds of things. Wire cutting, cutting and bending wire. As you can see in here, where the tomatoes are, there's lines of wire in here, and I use these all the time. So I've got a stock of these. Bend this up to there. Need to cut a bit more off. Bend this one up. We don't want that bit, so cut him off. And cut him off. And cut that. And cut that. Where's the gadget? One. To make him join. The two come out there. It's done it. This end, a bit higher this end. There we are. That's a little bit too high, but it doesn't really matter, does it? There we are. Now we've got a planter, which is it's 9 across and 8 high, 7 high that side. It's not terribly accurate, but it doesn't have to be, does it? And this one is 60 long. So we've got two now. A wider one and a narrow one. That one is the one I fancy because it's got plenty of depth. So the guttering, which you used last year, it only got half that depth. It's just how we're going to support it. Needs supporting here, otherwise I think it will go bend up. How about this one? Will that go? No, not quite the same. Right, I'm going to find some old fertiliser bags, line it out, we'll put some plants in and see how it goes. Right, we've got some feed bags. Thought might as well film this little bit. All right, look to see where this is, that wider one, and the bag isn't quite big enough, so I've pulled it to the end, this end, so the stuff won't fall out. But at this end, I've cut a lump off the fertiliser bag that this fertiliser is coming out of, and just double it over, because remember, we're going to want some drainage in the bottom anyway. A wee bit more. Let's move you out the way. And there we are, you can see better now what's happening here. got this is the wider planter, first one we made. Again, if you suspend it like that, it's going to be you need suspending here, so it gets plenty of light, plenty of fresh air. Experiment again. So last year's experiment with the guttering, not a success. It's too small. These are planters that we've used in the. Just pop these. Now these are definitely runners, and these are the planters that are used to put the runners in, and then cut them off. Wow, there's even some fruiting here. So it's not particularly deep. They were just in here to develop into proper little strawberry plants. You see them in there. So the runners were just poked into the soil, into the compost, and covered up and left and watered. And then once the plant started forming, cut the runner off and then put them on the bench here for the winter. And they've been here now all winter, just getting a little drop of water now and again out of the frost. There's a bit of a heater in here just to keep the frost off things. Oh, look at that. It's even got some flowers. That fruit might fruit soon, that one. That's looking quite a healthy plant. And that was definitely a runner. Oh, where are you? Here we are. This was definitely a runner. There are all runners in there. So it's not quite such a big plant, but it'll mature. Right. I don't think the roots need to be quite so long. It just looks common sense to cut a bit of root off. Right, pop him in here. Bit deeper compost here. Firm him in. Here we are. That's aiming to come over the side, you see. And it's about 8 centimetres. I reckon we can put another row down the other side of this planter because it's big enough. And they're free. You see, it's a runner. It hasn't cost anything to produce. I'll have that off. Anyway, we shall show you as these progress what's happening to them. 10. Okay, here. There's not much compost there. We'll pack it round and bring it from the other side. Firm them down, but they don't want to be, that top bit wants to remain open. Yeah. Good. Can you see what we're doing all right? How many have we got in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 long. We need another 2. Here's a mini. Look at that. Complete new little strawberry plant. Cut the brown bit off. Pop him in at the end. He's got his own little house, own little place at the end there, that one. Again, keep the top uncovered. Compost all around it. There you go. Now look at that. Quite pleased with that. So we've got 10 plants in there. And if they're going to go outside, they could do very well indeed. Pleased with those. And look, what's it cost? Bit of time, really. Bit of time. We've got our strawberry plants in there. They're not. There's no drainage at the moment. They're going to stay in here until the weather picks up, and then we shall see where I put them. Once the weather's warmer, do I put them outside under that roof? In which case, I'm quite likely stand them on some boarding like this. So ventilation, I'm pretty sure that if in an area like this, unless the doors are open both ends all the time, lack of ventilation produces disease. So. Right, we will progress from that and let you know how I get on next time. Hi there, meanwhile, back in the studio. That was an interesting interlude this morning. Now, remember, if you like what we're doing, we ask if you could very kindly subscribe to the channel and give it a like if you do, and share it to your friends. It helps the channel to grow, and that's the only way it will, with your support. So thanks ever so much if you feel like doing that. Remember, link to our website up here, where you can download over 200 audio podcasts to listen to wherever you like. And there are the books on our website as well. You can download free of charge. I think it's 10 books, storybooks, picture storybooks, and books for children. Lots of hours of entertainment. Right, we're going to in the polytunnel. We're going to make some more of those baskets, narrow ones and wide ones, and then we shall have more flexibility of where to put them, because there's quite a lot of plants, to plant up, and they want doing soon now because time's getting on, and they'll want to take off. So thanks for being with us today, and until the next time, cheerio.